Hello from Boca Raton, Florida, FAU Stadium and the Boca Raton Bowl. The Rockets opened the year with a non-contest because of severe weather at the Glass Bowl, and here we are ending the season with a lot of rain. Nigel Hayes has obviously been a media darling the last few weeks during the NCAA tournament, but forget about all the off-the-court jokes because the play by Hayes and the Badgers on the court is anything but a joke as they're back in the Final Four for the second straight season. When you walk into Assembly Hall here in Bloomington, the history, the tradition, the success of the men's program is front and center with numerous banners hanging from the rafters. But tucked in the corner where there's just one banner hanging, it's clear the women's program is still looking for its identity. Fall camp for the Buckeyes and the Wolverines doesn't open for another week, but the unofficial start to the football season is here today in Chicago with Big Ten Football Media Day. Really a surprise, especially after last week what Ohio State put on the field against Michigan State. But hey, Ezekiel Elliott atones, if you will, for his comments after that Spartan loss and puts on quite the show here at Michigan Stadium. Leroy Alexander to have a larger impact with the Cornhuskers this season. He played in all 13 games last year for Nebraska, and he'll be fighting for one of those starting safety spots in his redshirt sophomore year. The place to be this morning is the Porta-Johns because there's no line. So if you're watching us on 13abc.com right now, park your car, quickly walk over here, perhaps run, if you will, and use the Porta-John because there's no waiting. Dave, it looked like late in the third period and then into overtime, the Walleye had some tired legs, but Walleye head coach Derek Lalonde says that's not the case. Not exactly the situation the Red Wings want to be in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs as they lose Game 4, now tying this series at 2. Ken actually played college football here for Florida Atlantic University, and he hopes to make the game tomorrow against Temple. And Joe, I jumped in that class today with Ken's group, and this is no exaggeration, it kicked my butt.
Steve Slivka live at MIS with more. Steve?
Dave, that new rule boils down to drivers staying in their car after an accident because that was what the issue was with Stewart's accident last weekend. And I think some NFL teams have some home remodeling projects in mind because this same interview question continues to pop up this weekend.
You got 1 minute to tell us everything you can do with a brick. That was probably the craziest question.
We talked to Jack Muhlhorf. He said the same thing, so this must be the question for this year.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You know, I mean, you could think of a couple things, but in a minute, that's a lot of time.
Oh, how about Michael Geiger? He has the nickname Legatron, but he hasn't exactly had the easiest of seasons this year. He missed a field goal attempt in the first half here at Ohio Stadium, but obviously redemption is sweet as that field goal knocks off Ohio State, ending the Buckeyes' 23-game Big Ten Conference regular season winning streak.
I knew I'd kick it through even if they did call timeout. They had one more timeout left. I figured they wouldn't call it because they knew I was going to make it. Trust your eyes, trust your leg. I knew I had the distance because I made it once. I just had to swing through and hit an even better ball. It was great. Amazing feeling. I've been waiting my whole life to beat that team in this stadium. My whole life.
As for the Buckeyes, that Michigan State defensive line was tough, but they're still wondering what could have been here at Ohio Stadium.
I call a lot of plays anyways, so the finger, you point it right here and have to do better. Yeah, we didn't, very conservative, seemed like we were backed up a lot.
One of those deals is, you know, you see where you're at as a team, you know what I'm saying? Are you going to, you know, bow your head and, you know, turn the other way? Or are you going to, you know, lift your head up and, you know, decide that, well, we didn't play well, we have to get better, and I think that's where we're at as a team.
After the game, Ohio State running back Ezekiel Elliott said he will not return to the Buckeyes next season, catching many in the media room by surprise with his comments.
And when Steve Slivka's not working traffic, he's up in the Tigers clubhouse partying with the boys.
4 straight Central Division championships for the Detroit Tigers, and it was a sticky situation all season long for the Tigers just to be in this position in game number 162. That sticky feeling will stick around for a few more days, and that's a good thing for the Tigers.
It means a lot whether we do it on the last day or 2 weeks, before. So I'm just glad we're able to get it done.
We put ourselves in a good position coming into September and the last week of the season to be in the driver's seat. And that's the position you want to be in. You don't want to leave it up to other teams having to lose and whatnot. So great job by these guys the entire year to do what they did to put ourselves in the position that we were in today.
I've been in Dallas before. That doesn't bother me. I just, I want to let them celebrate. Especially the way this went down. Like I said, we're always seem like we're on the cusp of clinching. It's kind of a release now where they can splash themselves in champagne.
So cool. It's, you name it, scary, fun, electric. You know, the one thing I've always done, though, is jump in with 2 feet and throw strikes and hope for the best. You know, you're facing some guys with thumps, so it's nice to see us get 2 runs on the board the half inning before, which allows me again to go out and be a lot more aggressive.
The mission was simple for the Tigers Sunday afternoon. Win, and you obviously don't have to worry about that wild 1-game playoff just to stay alive in the postseason. At Comerica Park, Steve Slivka, 13 ABC, Action Sports. Matt Kenseth here, of course, we're at the fastest track in NASCAR. You're going to keep the speeds a little bit lower with me in the passenger seat, right?
You know, I will. I don't know if I'd be comfortable running 220 with a passenger. I think things would be bad if you had a problem. So, but we're still going to go fast. We're going to have some fun. You and I are going to run about 160 today, and you know, our car that we're going to race Sunday will hit 220 on the straightaways.
Enough talking about it. Why don't we get in the car?
All right, let's do it.
Time to buckle up and put on the helmet. Start your engines. It's time to hit NASCAR's fastest track. We waste little time getting up to speed on pit road. This feels much faster than merging onto I-75. It's all smiles as we move up on the apron from pit road into turn 2. We hit the back stretch at Michigan, about 8 lanes wide from the inside wall to the outside wall. Plus, Kenseth drives us about 4 feet from that white wall. We hit turn 3, and you were just looking right up at that wall as this car hugs the banking right into turn 4. Here's where we hit the fastest part of the tour. Down the front stretch, normally, as Matt said, they hit 220 miles per hour here on Sundays on the Cup car. Yeah, that's 60 miles faster than what he's driving right now. More of the same on the back stretch as we just hug that wall. Kenseth has pit road in mind as he hits turns 3 and 4. He goes low, stays on the white line. As we come into pit road, he essentially shuts the car down as we go from 160 mph to 0 at NASCAR's fastest track. Hello from Boca Raton, Florida, as the Rockets are just 2 days away from playing Temple in the Boca Raton Bowl here at FAU Stadium on the campus of Florida Atlantic University. Across town this afternoon, Toledo held a walkthrough at St. Andrew's School. That's a private boarding school. You may know one of the alums, Morgan Pressel. She's a member of the class of 2006. You can check out Morgan in July over at Highland Meadows at the Marathon Classic. Easy practice for the Rockets, typical of the team's schedule. In fact, they'll have a hard practice tomorrow. That's right, a hard practice the day before the game. But hey, this is the schedule that they have followed all year long.
It's a change up in the week. It breaks the week up. It kind of slows down a little bit for us, and helps the coaches out. Rethink the plan and make sure we got exactly what we want in. And then tomorrow we get out and we grease them up a little bit, let them sweat, and go run around and get ready for the game.
The 8 Rockets on the roster from the state of Florida obviously have a lot to do to get ready for the game. And that has to do with tickets. Reuben Carter, a 5th-year transfer from Florida State. He's a native of Miami, and he has a lot of demand for his group right down Interstate 95.
I have over 50, guests, so, it should be a great turnout for me and my friends and family.
Being a South Florida guy, what would a win in this game to go out in your college career mean to you?
Well, a win would be, tremendous. It would be, great to put on my resume. And, always when I come down to Florida, I just want to win, show everybody how hard I've been working and then, just, representing where I'm from. There's a lot of people expecting me to play well. And, I don't want to have my last senior game, as a loss.
Back live here at FAU Stadium, the Rockets paid an early morning visit to a hospital here in Boca Raton, Florida, a handful of seniors, that is. St. John's Jesuit grad Cheatham Norrells was one of those players to make the visit to the hospital. In fact, just a year and a half ago, Cheatham was in a hospital bed for 10 days. Didn't even think he'd even play football again, but here he is, about to play his final college game, and what is he doing? That's right, making a visit to the hospital.
I had a lot of people support me while I was in the hospital, and like I said, bringing in new lives, they got support families. It's great to see that they have family support, getting them through this tough time. Like, I'm pretty sure it's emotional for them just because you never know what's going to happen when a newborn comes, but they're here today. We actually got a little girl, Zoe. She's very little cute baby, but she's here, so I'm pretty sure she's enjoying her time out.
She's starstruck right now. You can watch this Tuesday.
Circle of life.
Yeah, I mean, I don't got no baby fever or nothing like that, but I'm just enjoying seeing the kids grow up. I mean, just seeing that these can grow to be great people. It's a good thing.
A newborn baby brings a smile to the faces of most people. Cheatham always has a smile on his face, and he should. Former Rockets coach Matt Campbell said the return of Norrells to the field is one of the great stories in college football this year.
It wasn't looking too good for him, but like I said, this team was made to conquer adversity, and I think that's one thing that's special about it, so that's why he had no trouble with it.
It's probably tough for you to remember what happened when you were in the hospital in 2014, but is there anything that comes back to you when you step down these hallways?
Just the feeling of, empty almost basically. It's just like you don't know. It's like cold, it's dark, depressing. But in these hallways, it's a little bit different because you bring in life. I was on the other end. You don't know if it's going to be there, but this is a little different experience.
Cheatham has had a heck of a season, and obviously he wants to go out on a high note Tuesday night. Hey, we have more here from Boca Raton all the way through Wednesday with the Rockets, and Joe Nugent is probably at the varsity right now at the Atlanta airport, if I would have to take a guess, because he's covering the Falcons in Mobile against Georgia Southern in the Go Daddy Bowl. So yes, we have you covered on both fronts all the way through Wednesday. And Bill, back here at FAU Stadium, Florida Atlantic University, the nickname the Owls, Temple, Toledo's opponent, also the Owls. So really, who's the true home team? But word on the street is this game Tuesday night is sold out.
My future right now is with these guys, and we're going to celebrate this win, and it's going to be special. And I'm not going to let anyone take that away from us. And we'll go to sleep, and we'll get together over the weekend, and then we'll start, and we'll talk about other things.
That was Falcon Fast. Just 13 hours after the Falcons won the MAC championship in Detroit, Syracuse announced on its website Babers as the new head coach of the Orange.
This is a reflection of us and the assistant coaches and what Coach Babers has done for us, that if another team wants our head coach, then we must have been doing something right, and we're extremely happy for him.
For me as a senior, it's kind of indifferent because I know that I'm graduating, so it won't really affect me. But for the younger guys, I think their heads are kind of spinning because they're new to this.
There's only two people that call me right now, right? People that want to help me and people that want to help someone else. I should have changed my cell number because I'm only interested in helping Bowling Green State University right now and how do we get better. And the fact that we're doing it again 2 years later, or in the third year, it just symbolizes our success, and I embrace it, and it's okay.
Bowling Green hired Dino Babers as its head coach on December 18th, 2013. He leaves with an 18-9 record in 2 seasons with the Falcons. Babers has notable wins over Indiana, Maryland, and Purdue over the last 2 seasons. He finishes his time at BG with a 1-1 record in the MAC championship and a 0-2 record against Toledo. 13 ABC visited Babers' Bowling Green home this afternoon for comment. A man answered the door and identified himself as a close friend. When asked if Babers was home, this close friend briefly went back inside, came back and said Babers is not available. 13 ABC asked this close friend if Babers has a comment for Falcon fans, and the man said, "Merry Christmas." Who is Bowling Green's interim head coach? Meet Brian Ward. He joined Babers' staff last February as the defensive coordinator. Working as a D coordinator is Ward's MO. Previous defensive coordinator stops include Western Illinois, Drake, Union High School in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which is a huge big school power in the Sooner State, plus Missouri Southern State University. Ward is a graduate of McPherson College in Kansas, where he was the head coach from 2007 through 2009.
Anytime someone thinks that highly of you to lead anything, you're going to be humbled by it. And I'm just humbled and very grateful that he saw that I had the ability to be able to lead a program.
Well, he better not make us run the ball and become a defensive team. No, I'm just kidding. He brings a lot of energy. I know that the defensive guys love him. And, you can just see it from game 1 until now that he's constantly making adjustments, and the defense has gotten consistently, better over the season. And, I think now that he's got his claws in them, they completely understand them. And I'm looking forward to, him being the head coach and, getting to experience a little bit him on the offensive side.
Just under 2 hours until the Spartans and Hawkeyes kick it off for the Big Ten Championship. State back in this game for the 3rd time in 5 years.
We're not going to be intimidated by the situation. I don't think Iowa will either. I mean, they've played in big games on big stages. That's what this conference is about. You play in front of a lot of people, every team.
Isn't that, Bill? The Buckeyes need some help in that game. They also need some help with some other games around the country, one of which is the ACC championship game, North Carolina and Clemson. That game kicks off at 8 p.m. right here on 13 ABC.